Jon Moxley joins Seth Rollins and Paul Heyman, betraying Roman Reigns and the OTC. Ladies and gentlemen, brace yourselves, because what we witnessed at Backlash 2025 was more than just a pay-per-view event. It was a defining moment that shook the very foundation of WWE, a betrayal so cold, a plot twist so unbelievable, it changed the wrestling world forever. A reunion nobody saw coming, a destruction of a legacy, and the start of something that will redefine WWE as we know it. This is the moment we're talking about. Jon Moxley, yes, you heard that right, Jon Moxley, the former Dean Ambrose, has done the unthinkable. In a shocking turn of events at Backlash 2025, Moxley, who once stood alongside Roman Reigns as a brother in the Shield, made a choice that sent shockwaves through the WWE Universe. He joined forces with Seth Rollins and Paul Heyman, and together, they launched a brutal assault on Roman Reigns and the Order of the Tribal Chief. And in case you thought this was just another surprise return, think again. This was no ordinary betrayal. This was a revolution. A decision that will rewrite the history books and break apart everything Roman Reigns and the OTC, Order of the Tribal Chief, stand for. Moxley is no longer the lone wolf, he is now a Paul Heyman guy. Let that sink in for a moment. Moxley, who tore through WWE arenas with Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins as the Shield, is now aligned with the very man who represents everything Roman Reigns has built, Paul Heyman. This isn't just a betrayal. It's a nuclear-level event. So, how did we get here? How did Jon Moxley, one of the most unpredictable superstars in WWE history, go from a loyal member of the Shield to now teaming up with Seth Rollins and Paul Heyman? And what does this mean for Roman Reigns, the Tribal Chief, and the future of the OTC? Let's break it all down. Backlash 2025 was supposed to be just another show. A stacked card with exciting matchups, a championship defense or two, and some surprises sprinkled in for good measure. But what we got was nothing short of a nuclear shockwave that sent the entire wrestling world reeling. Let's set the stage. The crowd was electric, the energy was palpable. The anticipation was high as WWE fans tuned in for what they thought would be a typical pay-per-view. But from the very beginning, there was an undeniable sense that something big was about to go down. Roman Reigns, the Tribal Chief, had a match scheduled against an up-and-coming superstar. Many thought it would be a routine defense. After all, Reigns had dominated WWE for nearly 2 years at this point, and his position as the head of the table seemed unshakable. But as Reigns stood tall in the ring, flaunting his title and basking in the adoration of his OTC family, the unexpected happened. The lights dimmed. The crowd buzzed with anticipation. And then, the music hit. It was Jon Moxley, the man who had left WWE years ago, the one who had burned bridges and become the face of AEW. But he wasn't here for a one-off appearance. No, Moxley wasn't just back for a nostalgia pop. He was here to join Seth Rollins and Paul Heyman and officially declare war on Roman Reigns and the OTC. The arena went absolutely silent for a split second, and then, chaos. Moxley stormed the ring, standing tall, side by side with Seth Rollins and none other than Paul Heyman. The betrayal was complete. Now, this wasn't just about Moxley returning to WWE. This wasn't even about Rollins and Moxley rekindling their old partnership. This was about a new alliance. A new war. The reunion that no one could have predicted, Seth Rollins, Jon Moxley, and Paul Heyman, 3 men who have been intertwined in WWE history in different ways, coming together to destroy the legacy of Roman Reigns. Let's talk about it. Seth Rollins, the architect of the Shield, who had already made his own waves in WWE, aligning with Heyman, who, let's not forget, was the right-hand man to Brock Lesnar and the one who masterminded the rise of Reigns, now joins forces with Moxley to bring Reigns down. But this isn't just about a past rivalry. It's about the future of WWE. With Paul Heyman's brilliant mind at the helm, guiding Moxley and Rollins, they've got one thing in mind: destroying the Tribal Chief. Heyman, known for his strategic genius, has now set his sights on taking out Reigns, a man he once helped build into the juggernaut he is today. And let's not forget the personal stakes. Jon Moxley and Roman Reigns were once brothers in arms. They built the Shield together, wreaked havoc together. But now, Moxley has burned that bridge. Why? What could have driven him to this point? Now, let's focus on the aftermath of this stunning betrayal. Roman Reigns, who has ruled over WWE with an iron fist, leading the OTC, was blindsided by a former ally. This isn't just a loss of a title. This is the shattering of a legacy, the crumbling of everything Roman Reigns has worked for. The OTC, Roman's dominant faction, was built on respect, power, and unity. Moxley's betrayal exposes a crack in the foundation of the group. A crack that can't be ignored. As Moxley, Rollins, and Heyman go to war with Reigns, they're not just targeting the Universal title. No, this is personal. It's about dismantling Roman Reigns piece by piece, stripping him of everything he's built. What does this mean for the future of the OTC? What happens when you lose one of your most trusted members to the enemy? Will JUSO, Solo Sikoa, and the rest of the family remain loyal to the tribal chief? Or will we see the collapse of the empire Roman Reigns has worked so hard to create? And this, my friends, is just the beginning. The shockwaves from this betrayal will be felt for months, possibly even years, to come. What does the future hold for Seth Rollins, Jon Moxley, and Paul Heyman? They are now the most dangerous trio in WWE, and they've made it clear that they have their sights set on the tribal chief's throne. But here's the real question, what about Roman Reigns? Can he rebuild the OTC, or has the foundation already been cracked beyond repair? What will this mean for the future of WWE? We are witnessing the birth of a new era, and as always in WWE, the lines between ally and enemy are never as clear as they seem. And let's not forget the ripple effect this will have on WWE's future storylines. Every title, every feud, every decision from now on will be affected by Moxley's return and his alliance with Seth Rollins and Paul Heyman. The most powerful factions in WWE are no longer what they once were. The Shield, the OTC, all of it, changed forever. The landscape of WWE will never be the same again. We're on the brink of something far bigger than just a new rivalry. We're witnessing the birth of a new world order. One where the strong will fight for power, and alliances will be made and broken in a heartbeat. Seth Rollins, Jon Moxley, and Paul Heyman are not just playing for a title, they're playing for the soul of WWE. When we think about the word revolution, it's hard not to think of the people who challenge the status quo. The ones who refuse to accept what's been given to them, who fight against the tide to make their own destiny. And that's exactly what we're seeing now. A revolution within WWE. Seth Rollins and Jon Moxley, once bitter rivals, now united by a common purpose, to tear down Roman Reigns and everything he represents. With Paul Heyman behind them, they have the power, the strategy, and the ambition to become the new kings of WWE. And make no mistake, this isn't just a storyline. This is a war. A war for WWE's soul. This revolution has only just begun, and the world of WWE will never be the same again. Jon Moxley, Seth Rollins, and Paul Heyman are more than a faction. They are a statement. A declaration that the era of Roman Reigns, the dominance of the tribal chief, the reign of the OTC, is coming to an end. This isn't just an internal power struggle. This is the next chapter in WWE history. The dawn of a new kingdom built not on bloodline, but on chaos, mind games, and brutal ambition. Let's look deeper. Moxley didn't return quietly. He came back with purpose, with fury. And aligning with Heyman? That's no coincidence. Paul Heyman is a mastermind, and if you think this wasn't carefully orchestrated over months, maybe years, you'd be mistaken. Some fans believe Heyman never truly left Moxley's side. He was biding his time. waiting for the perfect opportunity to turn the tide against Roman Reigns and exact his revenge for being discarded, insulted, and replaced. So how long has this betrayal been brewing? How far back does it go? Let's take a trip through history. Moxley left WWE in 2019, frustrated with creative direction and the politics behind the scenes. But many forget that one of his last true alliances, one he never publicly condemned, was with Seth Rollins. Even during their intense rivalries, Moxley and Rollins respected each other. That mutual respect, it never disappeared. It just waited for the right time to resurface. And that time was Backlash 2025. And then there's Heyman, the architect of some of wrestling's most dominant legacies. He stood beside Roman Reigns for years. But after Survivor Series 2024, when Reigns began taking Heyman's loyalty for granted, it was clear something had shifted. There were signs. You just had to look. Tense body language, cold glances, awkward interviews. Paul Heyman was done being disrespected. But instead of walking away, he made a move. A legendary move. He didn't just abandon the bloodline, he recruited the two men who know Roman Reigns better than anyone else in the world. Seth Rollins. Jon Moxley. Together, they're not just fighting Roman. They're planning to dismantle the entire foundation that Roman Reigns and the OTC have built. So what's next? What's the fallout going to look like now that Moxley, Rollins, and Heyman have officially declared war on Reigns? Get ready for some insane matchups. Roman Reigns vs. Jon Moxley, a war years in the making. Seth Rollins vs. Solo Sikoa, two rising leaders clashing for dominance. Tag Team Chaos, Rollins and Moxley vs. JUSO and Tama Tonga. Triple threat for control of WWE, Reigns vs. Rollins vs. Moxley. The WWE Universe is officially in the middle of a civil war. You thought Bloodline vs. The Shield was a pipe dream? We're living it now, with real consequences. But there's more. Much more. Because when you fracture the foundation of the bloodline, others start to rise. Superstars like Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, LA Knight, even Randy Orton, they'll have to pick sides. Will they stand with the tribal chief? Or will they ride the wave of revolution? Let's talk about Paul Heyman again. This man has pulled off the most shocking double-cross in modern WWE history. For years, we believed he was loyal to Roman Reigns. And in fairness, he helped elevate Reigns to one of the greatest champions in WWE history. But deep down, Heyman is a wrestling revolutionary. And every revolutionary eventually turns on the king. Heyman chose his moment. He saw Roman Reigns beginning to falter, alienating allies, showing weakness, cracking under pressure. And in that moment, he reached out to two men who have waited for revenge, and brought them together like a devil assembling his demons. Heyman isn't playing a support role anymore. He's pulling the strings. He's building a new empire, with Seth Rollins and Jon Moxley as his Dark Kings. Fan reactions, WWE Universe in shock. Jon Moxley just broke my heart. The Shield is officially dead. Seth, Mox, and Heyman. This is the most dangerous trio WWE's ever seen. Roman Reigns didn't just get betrayed. He got blindsided by his own family. Fans were heartbroken. Some were angry. Others were electrified. But one thing's for sure, no one saw this coming. WWE hasn't had a moment this shocking since Seth Rollins first turned on the Shield a decade ago. And now, it's all come full circle. Rollins and Moxley are back together. But this time, it's Reigns who's being stabbed in the back. With WrestleMania 41 on the horizon, this betrayal throws everything into chaos. Will we get a fatal four-way main event? Roman Reigns vs. Seth Rollins vs. Jon Moxley vs. Solo Sikoa. Or perhaps a Wargames-style match at SummerSlam, the OTC vs. Heyman's new empire? And what about the Shield's legacy? Is it truly dead now, or will these three men clash one final time to settle it all? We are on the verge of something unforgettable. Roman Reigns has been betrayed. Jon Moxley is back. Seth Rollins is reborn. Paul Heyman is plotting the future of WWE. And the world is watching. This isn't just a storyline. This isn't just wrestling. This is a power shift. A war. A reckoning. Roman Reigns thought he was untouchable. But Jon Moxley just proved that even kings can be overthrown. Keep your eyes on WWE, folks, because the game has changed. The revolution has begun. And whether you love it or hate it, one thing's for certain. Nothing will ever be the same again. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe for more exclusive updates, analysis, and breakdowns from the world of WWE. This is Wrestling News CC, where the drama never sleeps.